Thanks for hitting the rewind button with us. I'm Dal. This is Dan, and it is 2026, a brand new year. How's the new year starting for you, Dan?
I can't complain. Starting off pretty well. Got some cool new things to add to the collection over Christmas.
Oh, yeah? Anything exciting?
Well, I got a whole collection of the M&M characters from Five Below.
Oh, I remember you sending me pictures of those.
Yeah, now originally I didn't want to get those because I thought they were part of a metal metallics line or something, so I thought they were going to look a little too metal with the paint job, and they're on these like thick stands too. But since I bought them, I found that you can just unscrew them from the stands, so they stand on without them. And the paint jobs actually look really good. It's not as metallic as I was worried about, so I got the whole line. I'm very excited about it.
That's pretty cool. I was excited about the Charlie Brown PVC figurines they did around Halloween.
Yeah, I got those too. I got yours too.
You got me.
Yeah, so I picked up mine, and while I was at it, I asked if you wanted some, and I got them for you. Yeah.
So they've had some pretty cool toys in there from time to time. There's also some Ninja Turtle stuff from Five Below somewhere behind us here that I picked up from there. So good stuff. Yeah, New Year's starting off pretty well for me too, except for earlier today when I was preparing for this show, I found out that Adobe Premiere Pro no longer has a live capture feed. I was going to go back to video format for the podcast, try it out again, see how we like it, since we've been doing kind of a covered format for a while.
Yeah.
And apparently 2 years ago, Adobe Premiere Pro got rid of the live capture feature, which I haven't used since back 20 years ago when we were actually still loading.
College, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what we use to capture video off of like movies or something that we would need clips from, right?
The old tapes when we had to record on mini DV tapes or whatever the
mini DV player. Tapes. Yeah, the mini DV player would be plugged into the computer to capture through
in
Adobe Premiere. That's right.
Yeah. So that's no longer a thing. So here we are. We're trying something new with a webcam capture. See what becomes of it. But anyway, 2026, in a couple days, I've got a birthday coming up.
What birthday is this?
Looking at the big 40. So, going to be over that hill in just a couple of days. So I thought it might be fun for us to start off the new year talking about some things we loved from our childhood that are also turning 40 this year.
Okay, that sounds good. I like that topic, all right? Plenty of things from 1986 besides yourself that's well remembered and that we still love. Yeah,
one of the things that first came to my mind was the real Ghostbusters. I know it's a show that's close to our hearts. We both grew up loving. Still have, you can see toys right here on the shelf behind me here.
Actually, you got a pretty impressive collection.
Yeah, I've got just about something from every line. There's still a couple more that I want to get. Except for the monsters, when they did the monsters, like Universal Monsters line. I'd love to get some of those that are in good condition.
Oh, yeah. See, those are one of the few things of the line I do have all of.
The Universal Monsters?
Yeah. I have all those monsters, yeah.
So if we combined our collections, we'd probably have the whole lineup.
Ghostbusters! It's the Frankenstein and Dracula monsters. What's this? Get involved. Ghosts! Funny Mac, watch him scream. Fun to scare. Fun to zap.
Classic monsters and screaming heroes from the real Ghostbusters.
So that show was based on the 1984 Ghostbusters film. The animated version, the characters look completely different. They went on wacky adventures. And we're going to talk about some of those adventures, some of our favorite ones, a little later this year. But I wanted to save that for a whole episode because there's a lot of meat on that bone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you and I are both big Ghostbuster fans, have been since we were kids. Especially, growing up with the cartoon, buying the toys. We got plenty to say on that. And then if we did include it in this video, that's all the video would be.
Right. So, still to come, Ghostbusters, the real Ghostbusters. So, you want to kick us off, or you want me to kick us off? Things that are turning 40.
Well, I'll kick things off because the first thing I have is a little obscure. It's picked up a lot of steam in the last few years. Now, as a kid, I did not have these. I was aware of them, but I never really got to enjoy them until they had a revival around the mid-2000s, and that is Mad Balls.
Mad Balls. I remember those. The scary faces on the squish balls, right?
Yeah. So they were just little balls, maybe about the size of a tennis ball, and they were just made of these different personalities, different monsters. You had like a skull and a horn head and a mummy and one that was like a giant eyeball. You had like these zombie-looking characters.
Yes.
Of course, I know their names and some of their backstory, but I'm not going to bore because we have so much to go through. I'm not going to bore the audience with that right now. But it was just one of those fun monster toys growing up that like I said, I didn't have as a kid, but I was well aware. But they were very popular in the 80s as for what it was. They had a comic book. It had joke books, and even had at least 2 cartoon episodes that were released on VHS, and they were completely different from each other. One was more like a cartoon adventure where they escape their planet they're from, that's made up of these like monster ball characters. And then the other one was just like a video that's almost like a Monty Python sketch with them as the characters, or it's just like a joke video. It's like joke after joke after joke. Did you have any of these growing up?
So I did have the eyeball, I remember. Or it may have been a knockoff, because in my memory, the one I had squirted water. I don't think the Mad Balls actually
No,
water.
they didn't. So there was a lot of copycats. When Mad Balls was popular enough, it had a bunch of copycats. It had Weird Ball, and it had there was the Spitballs even. Right. And you may even remember there was like balls that were Jason and Freddy Krueger with victims, and you could soak them up with water and squeeze them. They shoot water across the room and stuff.
So horror themed eyeballs were very popular at that time. Yeah, up until the mid 90s, I believe. I'm pretty sure I did have one. I remember the toy commercials very well, and I vaguely remember. Was the VHS also like a primetime special or something that they aired as a one-off on Saturday mornings?
I have no idea. I never saw it on TV. I've only ever seen it on the VHS that I bought from, I can't even remember. I either bought it off eBay or it was, I found it at a Pick-a-Flick that was going out of business, and they had like both copies of the videos, and I bought them up then. But it was a great concept. I liked the characters. I liked just the idea of what they were. I got some of the comics. Like I said, there was a revival in the mid 2000s where they brought them back, and that's when I started to collect them. Was when they brought it back, because if you try to go back and buy them now, pretty pricey if you go back to the original ones from the 80s. But from the 2000s forward, as they were coming out, I would collect them. But I was only collecting characters as they came out. So I'm not all about collecting the same character over and over again every time it came out. It's just if it's a new character, I'd pick it up, all the way to even this past year. This past year, they had another line of the characters where they had hair attached to them.
I saw those, yeah.
Yeah. So there was 2 or 3 new characters in that line alone. So I picked up those. So I got a whole shelf full of these guys, at least from the 2000s and up.
Do you have a favorite?
It's probably going to have to be the Skullface.
Skullface. Okay. That's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I mean, it's the skeleton one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that one too. Yeah. He was one of the originals, right?
Yeah, he was one of the originals. They pretty consistently remade the original line like over and over again. Very seldom do they bring in new characters, since there were so many from the 80s to redo every time they brought them back.
Gotcha. Is that licensed under Hasbro now? Do they own the?
You know what? You got me there. I did not do that much. I didn't go that deep into the research. I don't know who owns Mad Balls right now. Originally, and maybe still to today, they're owned by American Greetings.
Okay, maybe they still are. Yeah, I don't know. It seems like everything we love from childhood now has been either bought up by Hasbro over the years, or Hasbro has the rights to re-release them. So it's just interesting whenever I'm looking at something and I'm like, oh, Hasbro is doing that now. So I was just curious.
New Mad Balls are so obnoxious and weird, they'll gross out the entire family. You can toss them, catch them, smash them. You'll want to collect all the Mad Balls, including the new 6 series. Just squeeze them till they ooze. They're repulsive.
Totally gross. Cool. Sick.
The totally slimy 6 series.
Mad Balls.
Mad Balls and new 6 series Mad Balls are all sold separately.
All right, since we're talking toys, I'll keep us in that line. I'm going to talk about Pound Puppies. Do you remember those?
I do. I remember the cartoon vaguely.
Yep.
I remember catching that maybe on TV. I might have just seen the VHS boxes in Blockbuster back in the day, but I did have one of the puppies growing up. Yeah, I had the little gray one.
I did too.
That was about like yay big.
Yeah, I had mine came from Hardee's. So Pound Puppies, the toys originally were released here in the U.S. by Tonka, the same guys who made the
Tonka
Yellow
trucks.
yeah. In 1985.
And GoBots.
And GoBots, yeah. And then also got bought up by Hasbro. Go figure.
There you go.
They were just these plush dogs with floppy ears, like you said, and they came in these boxes that were shaped like dog houses and with a certificate of adoption. And the commercials were all, these are lovable little puppies in need of a home.
It's kind of riding the coattails of Cabbage Patch Kids.
Yeah. Similar thing with just a stuffed animal, and they marketed them to boys and girls. But in 1986, two things happened. Like I said, in December of 1986, Hardee's had a promotion where if you came in and you bought anything, you could get a special edition pound puppy for like $2-3 or something.
If you could see through the eyes of your child, there's a very good chance you'd want to adopt a baby pound puppy this Christmas. Just buy anything to eat or drink at Hardee's, and you can make sure your baby gets one of our babies for only $2.29, a tiny little price for pound puppies. There's a new one every week, so by Christmas you could have all four, which might make you look pretty good in the eyes of your child on Christmas morning.
I had one of those as a kid that was in my crib, and a lot of pictures of me as a real young tot up until I was about 3 years old, and then got more interested in more things like the real Ghostbusters.
Let's trade that doggy for a nice ghost or Slimer puppet.
But the cartoon also launched in 1986. Similar to Mad Balls, they had two primetime specials or two direct-to-video specials.
It wasn't a series.
It was.
Oh, it was a series.
But before that, in 1985, they had two 30-minute adventures.
Okay.
And then they spun that off into a series, an episodic series.
It's the Pound Puppy. Here's Cooler, Whopper, Nose Marie, Bright Eyes, and Howler.
Hanna-Barbera made the series, featured a girl named Holly who had her puppy pound, and the puppy pound was always in danger from her villainous aunt. Her name was Katrina Stoneheart. She was kind of the Cruella de Vil of the show, had a fur factory and was always trying to, I guess, kill the dogs and take their fur to make fur clothing. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense for Cruella de Vil. That's very specific. It's like, it's got to be Dalmatians, but you're saying this woman just wanted to wear dog fur?
From what I can remember.
It's kind of dark if you think about it for a series.
It is very dark. Another villain.
But then again, I mean, Smurfs, wasn't Gargamel always trying to eat the Smurfs?
Right. So there was a lot of weird stuff happening. Captain Slaughter is the name of the other recurring villain from the show, which, you think Sergeant Slaughter, Captain Slaughter, but just for a kid's show.
About dogs.
Slaughter. Captain Slaughter. And he was like this, presented as this sea captain who you could never see his face. It was all in shadow, and he had this robotic arm, and he was
what?
Yeah, in the myth of the show, he was responsible for destroying this village where all the puppies who never got adopted could go and live in this place, kind of like the Misfit toy land in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, but it was called Wagga Wagga, and he was responsible for destroying this village of happy dogs, and that's now where the fur factory is.
What?
Yeah,
what?
Really dark turns. Really.
Wait. I thought pound puppies was just like dogs in the city, like just having little adventures running around, maybe trying to stay away from a dog catcher. You're telling me it's more.
There was a whole mythology.
There's
backstory.
a woman trying to constantly skin them for clothes, and on top of that, there's like some supervillain running around with a robot arm that's laying waste to whole doggy villages.
Yep, and the dogs are, fully anthropomorphic, walking on two legs, talking to humans.
I remember one that wore a jacket.
Yeah.
Were they all wearing clothes like that, or just that one is like the leader or something?
I remember at least one or two of them. I can't remember their names, but I remember
I don't know.
One or two of them had clothing or sunglasses, and it was a whole differentiated thing. But they never, at least from my memory of the toys that I can remember never looked like the characters in the show. They were completely different animals, so to speak.
I mean, it never had any toys of those villains either, I take it.
Not that I can remember. All the Pound Puppies were just the dogs. They did come out with a sister line called Pound Purries, which were cats. And in 1987, Hardee's did another promotion where you could either take home a Pound Puppy or a Pound Purry at Christmas time.
Pound Puppy every time.
Indeed.
But seriously, would you pick the Pound Puppy or the Pound Cat? I figured you'd be going with the cat.
I have cats now, but I love dogs too. But when I was a kid, it was the Pound Puppy. I didn't have cats growing up. I was an adult before I had any pet cats. My dad was not a fan of cats, so there were none of those around.
Oh, okay. Because I'm a dog person through and through, so I'll be picking the puppy every time.
Yeah.
I was just curious to hear what you would say about that.
Between the two toys, I'd probably still go with the puppy to this day.
This Christmas, Hardee's is spreading a lot of cheer for just a little money because you can get your little elves a regular hamburger, fries, and a small soft drink for just $1. You can even get that last-minute stocking stuffer with an adorable, adoptable baby Pound Puppy or Purry. So stop by Hardee's this holiday season. You'll get a lot of Christmas cheer for just $1 and the perfect stocking stuffer at a special price. Because at Hardee's, we're out to win you over.
So was your memory more with the toy or the cartoon or?
So really the memory is just those commercials and then just
I don't even remember the commercials.
Really just the commercials about the toys and Pound Puppies. They need your love. Adopt these puppies. And then seeing the pictures of me as a kid with the Pound Puppy everywhere I was in the crib. And I know my mom probably still has it in a drawer somewhere in her house with the other stuffed toys. So that's really the memory for me. And then realizing that, that's when the cartoon came out. And I remember seeing little bits and pieces. The cartoon only lasted for 2 years, but it came around again, I think in the early 2000s on Boomerang. It repeats were
okay, so I didn't even see it on Boomerang. Okay.
I only watched one or two.
Well, I gotta watch whatever episodes has the guy with the robot arm and the woman trying to skin the puppies now just to see what the hell's going on.
They are available on YouTube. When I was researching this, I kind of scrubbed through a few minutes of several episodes and I was like, what the heck? This is a lot darker than I was ever expecting.
Because it's dark. Cruella de Vil, that whole thing about her wanting to skin dogs for their skin or to wear their skin. For some reason, it's more acceptable as a movie because you feel like it's self-contained. It's the story of the movie. But when you spread it out over a whole series, especially 2 seasons worth of a cartoon, it's like that's where it gets kind of like what.
From what I watched, they never explicitly get into it's just kind of implied that she's going to skin them and turn them into clothing.
Is she wearing dog skin in the show? Is she ever successful off camera? They're like,
I think she is wearing fur in some of the shots. She kind of appears as the villain and is kind of woven into the plots of the different stories, and it all kind of circles back to what her evil plans are in that particular episode. But I think she is wearing fur. Wow. Her daughter is also a villain, so the cousin of Holly. Her name is Bratina, and they have a cat that gets involved in the shenanigans also. It's not a Pound Purry. Its name is Catgut.
Catgut?
Catgut.
Okay.
Pretty wild little show that launched it.
I might have to check that out now. I had no idea.
Extra, extra! Hear all about it!
Step right up and make a little puppy's dream come true.
Make them your Pound Puppies because they want to go home with you today.
Oh, yeah!
So next on my list, also turning 40 this year, is Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Pee-wee's Playhouse.
So Pee-wee is not turning 40. Let's be clear. Pee-wee's Playhouse, a TV show, is turning 40. Pee-wee kind of had a weird
fall from grace.
Not fall, but I'm not jumping there. I'm not talking about that. I was just going to say Pee-wee kind of came up into having his own show in sort of a strange way. I mean, usually you would think you would start small, get big. But in which case you could argue it did go this way. But no, originally Pee-wee was created in
a stage show, right?
Well, no. Whose side of the story are we sharing here? Who did the research on their pick for this episode?
Sorry to interrupt. Go right ahead.
So let's see. So Pee Wee. Now originally he was created in 1977 by Paul Rubens when he was in the Groundlings. That's when he came up with the character because they had to do a little sketch on stage of an original character.
So what is the Groundlings?
The Groundlings, that is sort of a proving ground for comedians to really hone their craft.
Okay.
And that's usually like a hunting ground for agents to come and find talents that they might want to bring on the shows like SNL.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But there's a lot of if you look up Groundlings, there's plenty of comedians that you'd be familiar with that came from there. The one that comes off my brain right now is the same time Paul Rubens was there, Elvira was there. Cassandra Peterson.
That explains what I remember after his death. She was talking about their relationship and just how he was so funny when they used to work together. And I was thinking, when did they work together? So the Groundlings.
Yeah, the Groundlings. They knew each other like as far back as then in the 70s. But yeah, so he came up with Pee Wee in '77. He made his first TV appearance as Pee Wee on The Dating Game in 1979. He was on there for more than one appearance. After he did not get picked up to be a cast member on SNL, that's when he struck out to do his Pee Wee Herman stage play, with Phil Hartman that was on HBO. And then he started making appearances on Letterman. Then he had the Pee Wee's Big Adventure that was directed by Tim Burton.
Right.
So after all that, he finally gets his own TV show in 1986. Because usually you think of a TV show leading up to getting your own movie, but it kind of
went in reverse.
There.
I'm right in the middle of cleaning the fish tank.
Pee Wee can make anything an adventure, even this.
Too bad you're gonna miss all the fun. What fun? Vacuuming!
It's like Christmas every week at Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Now, I read that initially ABC pitched it to him as an animated series, and he was like, no, can't do that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. You want to tell me more about that?
That was
that's all you're.
That was the extent of, because I was thinking they did have little cartoons and things in the show.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see what that would look like. But the format that they picked was, I remember even as a kid watching this on TV thinking, this is weird.
Well, yeah, but in a fun way.
In a fun way.
In a crazy fun way.
Yeah.
I mean, it was absolutely. But growing up, I did see Pee Wee's Playhouse. Pee Wee's Playhouse, of course, was just Paul Rubens as Pee Wee Herman, playing up the role of like a boy in his imaginary world.
Yep.
It was always kind of iffy on what exactly was going on. To my understanding, it was a boy in his imaginary world, even though he came and went on the bike.
Right.
If you want to call it a bike, what would you call that? Is it a bike?
I think it's a bike with the flag on the back.
Yeah, I mean it's on two wheels, but it's just shaped so almost like scooter-like because there's no seat on it. He just stands on it. Maybe it's a scooter. Anyway, but I have fond memories of Pee Wee's Playhouse because I did grow up with that. I did not have any of the merchandise, but I remember the merchandise.
Yeah.
And not until I was older did I get a lot of that. So I actually still own, and it's one of my favorite things in the world, is the Pee Wee's Playhouse playset.
Okay.
Which is in a convenient little, you fold it up, it could be like a little carry case thing, and then you just unlatch it, it folds out. You get the whole playhouse, like almost every corner of it you see in the show. It came with all the different characters like Pee Wee and Conky and Terry and Globey and Jambi. And I mean, almost every character was made into a toy, and that's one of my favorite things in the world that I still own and could never part with.
That's really cool. I didn't realize there was so much of a toy connection to that. Because, like I said, I didn't really watch it fully. Like I would catch a segment, maybe like the last segment of the show or something. Yeah. I don't think I ever watched it all the way through. But it was always fun and engaging and just weird and silly.
Well, the one thing I loved that was from the show that I wish I could actually have even for podcasting, Zoom meetings or something. Do you remember the part of the show where he would get in his like little booth and he would do two-way video calls with people and he would talk into like a little Dixie cup on a string or something?
The phone call.
And he'd have like the little pull or drop down screens behind him for different scenery that he could have.
The magic of editing at the time, right? Yeah, that would be fun.
But I'd love to have a little booth like that where I could just have little pull down screens of like different scenarios instead of digital effects like in the Zoom calls, and have a little two-way conversation that way.
Like the old pull down maps in classrooms.
Yeah,
just with different stuff. Yeah, that'd be fun and different in this modern digital world.
As much fun as I had watching Pee Wee, I absolutely was not one of those kids that copied him. I wasn't going to school, or I wasn't being super annoying as a Pee Wee fan. Do you remember anybody doing that all the time when you were growing up? Was there anybody who's so enamored with it that they had to copy or do things they saw on the show?
Not really. I just remember seeing him like popping up in commercials and promos and stuff doing that.
And news.
Yeah. Well, we won't get into that. But I was surprised reading that there were only 45 episodes because it seemed like it had a good run.
Well, it did. I mean, it ran, I don't have that fact in front of me, but it ran for multiple seasons. And one of them was super short because he was doing his Big Top Pee Wee at the time, which was a weird movie because you get to see Pee Wee make out with a girl in that movie, which was just, it felt all kinds of weird.
Especially since he's like, aiming at like young kids and
yeah.
But
I mean,
90s,
I got no problem with it. It's an all right movie regardless. But yeah, it ran for multiple seasons, but every season wasn't very long, and there were some that were super short because he went off to go make that movie. And
right. Might have been those like 13 episode kind of short mini seasons or something.
Yeah,
there were a lot of short cartoon seasons. I guess just because it was a kid show, they're like, just repeat it. They'll never know.
Yeah. I mean, at the time in the 80s, of course, you had because they wanted to go into syndication, starting with He-Man. Masters of the Universe. That's why so many cartoons were having as many as like 65 episodes made at a time, because they wanted to air like Monday through Saturday, not just on Saturdays.
Right. Same thing with Real Ghostbusters. It was on ABC and in syndication at the same time. So that's how it bumped up its episode count. But yeah, Pee-wee's Playhouse also helped launch the careers of a lot of people like Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah.
John Singleton, who Lawrence worked on with several movies. Boys in the Hood is the one that immediately comes to mind. And then the other one right after that, where he was a college professor, the hate crime film. I'm blanking on the name of it, but it's just cool to know that Lawrence Fishburne had the recurring role. He was Curtis the Mailman, right?
Oh, no, Curtis the Cowboy.
Yeah, that's what I meant. I'm getting my shows confused. Curtis the Cowboy, and then John Singleton.
Let me rephrase that. Cowboy Curtis.
Cowboy Curtis.
That was his name. Cowboy Curtis.
That's right.
Well, the only actor that I care that was on there besides Pee Wee was William Marshall, and that was the king of cartoons on Pee Wee's Playhouse.
I remember that.
But before he did Pee Wee's Playhouse, he was Blackula, and he starred in Blackula and Scream, Blackula Scream.
Okay, I did not realize.
That's one of my favorite Draculas of all time is Blackula. If you've never seen those movies or amazing movies, you have to check them out before you see him as the king of cartoons on Pee Wee's Playhouse.
I've seen the cover art on the shelves in the store or in the movie rental back in the day. I don't know if I've ever watched them. That was part of the blaxploitation line of films in the 70s.
Yeah, that and Blackenstein. But I mean, absolutely, you should check them out. They're good movies. Now, did you have any favorite characters on Pee Wee's Playhouse as far as like any of the puppets or anything?
I don't really remember. Even today, if I try to, I tried to go back and watch it on YouTube when I saw it maybe 2 years ago, and I was like, "Yeah, this is just weird, and I'm not into it." But
really,
yeah,
not even the Christmas special.
I did see that pop up just last month, and was going to watch it, but then I was like, "Nah, we're going to find something else." So.
I still enjoy it. I still get a big kick out of it, especially all the different puppets and the characters. I think the last fun Pee Wee thing I'd seen, well, besides, oh man, I forgot the name of it, but Pee Wee came out with that Netflix movie, Pee Wee's Big Holiday or Takes a Holiday or something.
Oh, yeah. A couple years ago.
That was really fun and good. But before that, the only other last big thing I saw with Pee Wee had to have been the SNL sketch with Andy Samberg.
Mm-hmm.
And they run into Andy Cooper. I think it's hard to find on YouTube right now, but if you get a chance to see that was incredibly funny.
Have you watched the HBO documentary? I think it's called Pee Wee as Himself.
Yeah.
Okay. It's on my watch list, but I haven't made it to it yet.
It's a great documentary. It's a fantastic, fascinating documentary. It gets really sad toward the end for obvious reasons.
Right.
Because of his passing. But yeah, I would highly recommend that if you're a Pee Wee fan to check that out.
Yeah. It's another one of those where I'm interested in the person behind the character, but I was aware of the character, knew the character, watched the character a little bit, was just not enamored with the character. So
I just thought he was fun. But what really blew my mind was that there wasn't that much merchandise. I mean, there's plenty of Pee Wee merchandise, don't get me wrong. But as far as the variety of merchandise, because besides those toys from Matchbox, which was a play set, some human characters, almost all the puppets, only other thing there really was there was the Pee-wee pull string doll, Cherry that you could sit them down on. You had some trading cards and color forms. That's pretty much it. There really wasn't a whole lot else.
Sounds like a pretty good line, though.
Oh, it was a great line. I mean, anybody would hope to get at least that much out of their show or movie or whatever they came out with. But I was just a little surprised. You would have thought there would have been like a lot more like real Ghostbusters level type of merchandise, where it's like all over the place.
I was wrong. It was a CBS show, not an ABC. So I feel like other than the Ninja Turtles, a lot of the CBS shows didn't get the same kind of merchandise traction as some of the other network shows.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because Garfield and Friends never had they had a lot of merchandise all around, but not like specific toys to the show or stuff like that.
Oh, no.
And a lot of the ones that pop into my mind as CBS shows just didn't have that. They were on the toy shelves, but they just didn't have that same level of I want to say exposure, but that's not saturation that,
yeah,
I guess because Disney owned ABC and had the merchandising mega power behind it that Disney is. So that's all I got.
I was like, I don't know where you're going with that, but I'm just along for the ride.
I don't know where I'm going for that either.
It's like
Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's a scream. It's a wacky fun time. Saturday Rock on CBS.
What dark childhood fantasy are you going to take us down this time?
Oh, to another planet called, I believe it's called LV-46, maybe LV-246. I don't remember exactly, but I'm talking about the movie Aliens.
In 1979, Alien shocked audiences like no movie before.
Movement! What's position? Can't lock in. There's nothing back here.
And no movie since until now. Sigourney Weaver. Aliens. The scariest movie ever. Rated R.
So Aliens hit theaters in July of 1986. It's a sequel to Ridley Scott's 1979 Alien, set 57 years later after the events of the Nostromo, where we first get to meet the xenomorph. And this time they find the escape pod that Ripley got away from the ship from the first movie, bring her back, interrogate her, trying to find out what happened. And she ends up working on this like space station kind of a thing. Mm. And just so happens that once she is back on the scene, she learns that the planet from LV-246 or 46, whatever it is, don't quote me on that. I watched the movie.
This is not for diehard fans.
I watch the movie every 2 years. I'm a big fan of it. At least every 2 years, maybe once every 3 years.
And you watch the how many versions of it now? Or is there only the one that's like 3 hours long or something?
So there's the director's cut, there's the special edition, and then there's just the regular theatrical version.
Okay, so there are still versions of it.
Yeah,
that are cut.
That have different.
The longest version being, do you know which?
I think it's like 2 hours and 45 minutes or something like that.
Yeah. Because the last time I remember watching it from beginning to end, I was at a friend's house in high school, and I remember just sitting there thinking, like, God, this is the longest movie ever. Like,
really?
Well, because I saw it before then, and I was well aware of like what happens in the movie and everything. But we were just watching it for fun. But I remember just sitting there, just thinking, this is a lot longer than just an hour and a half movie. Like, how long is this? Yeah, it is a long movie, but I love the kind of pacing of it, and I think James Cameron was at his best. 1984 to 1994 or 1995. No, it was True Lies. Okay. Yeah. I just the way he paced stories, and there's always, there's build up, there's a little drama, there's action, and then it just kind of repeats, and it's always fun. And this may be my favorite. I don't know. It's kind of a toss up between this and Terminator 2. As my favorite James Cameron movie. Not Piranha 2? Well, no, that kind of predates before I think he was at his best. That was what, 1982, 1981? Oh, was it? Oh, I have to go. I had to look into that now. Or maybe it might even been. I I mean, I don't know for sure myself. I had to go back and check when Piranha 2 came out, but I thought it was after Terminator.
No, I think it's maybe it got released after that, but I think he actually did it before. I want to say 81, 82, but I might be wrong. But anyway, was that a Roger Corman produced film?
Yes.
Okay.
And he was brought on like last minute, I believe, after they had problems with another director or finding a director or something.
Yeah. Speaking of being on the last minute, Michael Bain, who plays not Kyle Reese, Corporal Hicks in Aliens, they were already filming
Is that
the movie.
Michael Bain?
Michael Bain.
I think it's Bean. I'm not 100%. I feel 90%.
We'll just call him Michael. Okay. Michael got a call on like a Friday when they were in the middle of shooting because the actor who was originally going to play Hicks got arrested for drug possession.
Right.
And then Gail Ann Hurd, the producer and Cameron's wife at the time, was like, "Hey, you got a passport?" And he's like, "Yeah." And like, "All right, we'll get over to London." And then by Monday, he was filming as Hicks, and he's such a big part of that story. It's kind of weird to think that he wasn't always going to be the guy.
Yeah.
I'm really glad that they didn't try to work Arnold Schwarzenegger in that movie because James Cameron has a habit of bringing people back for multiple roles. I think it's the first time we get to see Jeanette Goldstein too, or Goldstein. I'm just going to butcher everybody's last name tonight. And
what day is it?
What day is it? Anyway, so you've seen the movie multiple times. Is it one that you go back to?
No. Well, I mean, I have no problem with it. It's one of those where I do enjoy the Alien movies. As soon as one comes out, I'm one of the first to want to see it.
I think you and I saw Prometheus when it came out.
We saw Prometheus together. I hadn't finished Alien Earth yet. I saw like the first half of it, but then things happened, and I have to get back to it at some point. But yeah, I've seen all the movies and I've seen that TV show. I enjoy them. I just don't normally go back to them as a regular.
This was my first foray into the Alien series. I first saw it on TV. I was pretty young, under 10, and I didn't really know everything that was going on. Like I didn't realize Bishop was an android. And so the scene at the end of the movie where he gets ripped in half by the alien queen terrified me as a kid. It stuck with me for a while. And then the next time I watched it, I was old enough to realize, oh, he's not a real person.
He's not full of milk.
Right. So I guess that was one of the things that like terrified me as a kid. I was like, is that what's is that what your insides look like when you get torn open? Like what is going on?
I don't bleed milk. Am I fake?
So anyway, Aliens 1986 was made on an $18.5 million budget and earned $131 million, and then adjusted for inflation based on the cost of making the movie versus what it makes. Allegedly, it's still the best box office run for James Cameron, or for the Alien series, and I think one of the top three for James Cameron after Titanic and Avatar.
It was also significant because that was Stan Winston's first time getting into the Alien franchise as well for special effects.
Yeah, I kind of liked his designs better than I know this is sacrilege and people are gonna say what were better than the Geiger designs, just the way they moved and
it was still the Geiger design, wasn't it? It was just reinterpreted for
movement, and it looks a little different. To me, the shots are just a lot scarier too. Probably just the way Cameron wanted it lit, even darker and even that action movie smoky look versus in the Nostromo where it was kind of like a steampunk ship.
Yeah. Now I own the book that was all about the history of Stan Winston's studio and his career.
Yeah.
And they specifically said in that book, when they got the costume from the first movie, they took it out of the box and they realized like what shit it was, because they said this thing was just like string and bubble gum together, because it was, they said apparently they made great use of the shadows in the first movie. And that's why he had to do so much redesigning and reconfiguring like how they did all the effects for the second movie, because it just, the suit from the first one was going to hack it.
Interesting. I do remember watching the behind the scenes of like all the test footage with the Alien Queen from Stan Winston Studios when he was shooting, like how it was going to move, and thinking, man, this looks like a lot of trash bags and sticks and stuff. Mm-hmm. But on screen, It looks fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Was there any moment? I mean, you said Bishop. Was there anything else that scared you in that movie growing up? Or usually when you see the people like cocoon to the wall and, asking for and begging for help, that's always a kind of a freaky moment.
That was pretty terrifying. So that was the first. I know they shot it for the first movie, and it was in the extended version and in the deleted scenes where you actually get to see them cocooned in the ship. But as far as at that point in time, that was the first time Alien fans got to see them cocooned up there.
Yeah.
And that was definitely terrifying. I don't remember if the TV version I saw had the chest bursting scene or if it cut away from it. But when I saw it again, I was like, that's even scarier because just the milky skin and the different milky skin than Bishop, but just her like on the verge of dying and then that chest burster scene. They did it well in the 70s and 80s. I think it's just we've seen it so much now, it's not as impactful anymore whenever we see it in a new movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it wasn't too long after they were spoofing that in Spaceballs, right?
That's true.
Yeah.
Spaceballs 2 on the way this year, so.
Yeah, we'll see how that turns out.
Rick Moranis is back, so I don't know. It'll be fun to see him again, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Somewhere in deepest space, all hell is breaking loose.
They cut the power.
How could they cut the power, man? They're animals.
Get them out of there!
Aliens. This time it's war. Aliens, the new movie. Rated R.
All right, so the next thing up that's also turning 40 that I'm a fan of, and once again, this is not something I had as a kid. I was well aware of it. I could not enjoy it until much later once I had like disposable income to kind of collect the stuff finally for the first time.
You have disposable income?
Inhumanoids.
They're not human. They're
Humanoids.
the evil that lies within.
Inhumanoids. Now see them every week in their own show. Can the Earth Corps stop this evil menace?
Down in the fiery depths of the earth where nightmares
Tune in every week for the continuing adventures of
Inhumanoids.
Sunday morning at 9 on WOFL, Channel 35.
Now, for those who don't know what Inhumanoids is, Inhumanoids was a cartoon that was basically in the same vein as 1980s G.I. Joe, Transformers, Jem and the Holograms. It was the same formula. It was basically Hasbro saying, we got this toy line. Let's make a cartoon series for it with the Sunbow production company. Let's have a comic book made for it from Marvel Comics, which would be the Star Comics.
Star Comics, yeah.
Sub category of those books. And what it was it was about there were these monsters beneath the surface of the earth, and you had the three big ones. You had the leader Metlar, Tendril, which is like a giant plant monster, and then you had Decompose, which is like this giant skull face zombie monster kind of thing with a rib cage that he could stick people or whatever he wants inside of.
And didn't like whatever went in there turn into like a zombie also?
Well, he could turn things into the zombie by just touching them.
Just touching them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But to combat this evil that was trying to take over the world from beneath the surface was this science team called Earth Corps.
Earth Corps
is made up of these 4 scientists. No one ever remembers their names. It doesn't really matter. But what was cool about them was these 4 scientists were wearing like these heavy duty mech suits to be able to endure the hardship of going underground and all the terrain and pressure and chemicals they might run into and all that kind of stuff. And they'd have like giant vehicles to ride around on and battle the monsters with. And they also had the help of what they called the Mutors, which was like a race of rock monsters and tree monsters.
Elemental spirits.
Yeah, basically to help like keep the monsters underground that were a threat to the earth.
Right.
So this was a series, like I said, it was a mini series at first. It did well enough to get at least one small little season of a show. I remember seeing the toys every so often growing up. I remember seeing the cartoon on VHS and at the grocery store. Remember grocery stores rented VHSs? I remember seeing it there, but not until, like I said, did I grow up. The show is finally available on DVD. eBay was around. I got the 4 guys. I didn't care enough to go get the monsters, although they are cool. The monsters are cool figures. If you look
They're
those up,
huge figures.
they're giant.
Yeah.
Because the figures are big. For instance, I think the characters themselves must be, gosh, they're probably 8-inch figures, and then the monsters that they battle are
like 13-inch figures. I think.
Yeah, they're big, they're giant, and they're pretty pricey, but not totally impossible to obtain because a lot of toy shops and toy conventions I go to, someone always has at least one of those characters.
Right.
And even the ones that you think are super rare, they turn out to be like
not so super rare.
Not so super rare. Like they're available, but you got to have some deep pockets to buy them. I think the big monsters can run you anywhere from like $100 to $200 a piece.
Yeah, I think if I was to get one, I don't really have an interest. Decompose, I think, looks like the coolest one.
Yeah.
Followed by Tendril. But yeah, like you said, they're big. They would just take up a lot of room on the shelf, and I wasn't attached to them. I didn't even like the thing I remember most is just like that tagline from the theme song that would play over and over again in the toy commercials and in the promos for the show at the time, and it was the evil that lies within.
Yeah, evil that lies within.
Yeah,
the evil that lies within.
Well, what was really cool about Inhumanoids was the cartoon. I mean, the toys were cool, the comic was all right, but the cartoon was actually really, really cool, especially if you're a horror fan, because now the miniseries, and this is what really annoyed me. So the miniseries, it came out on Rhino released a DVD back around the mid 2000s, I believe it was, and you got the miniseries. It was like 5 episodes. Then they released a second volume that had a handful of episodes, but you had to buy bootlegs or a copy off of YouTube to get the remainder of the series, which was never fully released on DVD for whatever reason.
I think it only made like 13 whole episodes, right? And that was it for the series.
Yeah, around the ballpark.
And it was like The Evil That Lies Within was the name of the miniseries, right? That initially made it to DVD.
Yeah, I think so. Really, the only episode I bothered to mark down as mention worthy was just the episode Cult of Darkness.
Cult of Darkness.
Because that was what was annoying was, so I can't remember if this made the second volume of the DVD or not, but when you finally see the rest of the series, they have some like really crazy episodes. Like, I mean, they continued to introduce characters or more characters, more monsters, and the adventures got a lot darker. Like Decompose has a whole episode where he's turning teenagers into zombies. So you do have like a freaky horror movie level like zombie episode called Cult of Darkness.
I'm gonna have to look that one up. I saw that some of these episodes are now on YouTube. Is that where you saw that one?
Well, no, I bought the bootleg.
Okay.
Yeah, so I have them all on DVD
He didn't
now.
buy any bootlegs. Don't worry about that. We found it on YouTube.
I bought bootlegs, nothing you can do about it. But yeah, I mean, there's later episodes where it gets really crazy, and you got bad guys who end up dying and being brought back through toxic waste, and they turn into monsters themselves. They look all kinds of like anime freaky. There's monsters eating body parts of other monsters that it gets like really bizarre at times. I mean, it gets really weird beyond the original miniseries, which is pretty tame on the level of like was it G.I. Joe and Transformers.
I think that's all I must have seen is just kind of those early episodes where it's like another adventure with the guys in the suits. You know, I don't remember much of the storyline, so I'll definitely have to go back and look for Cult of Darkness because that sounds.
It's worth a watch. It's worth a watch. If you've watched at least one episode and you're a horror fan, you should definitely check out that one. But it was just a fun cartoon series. It had a lot of the same voice actors as G.I. Joe and Transformers.
Yep,
playing the characters.
Yeah, a lot of notable voices, and just really kind of fit that. We talked about it when we did our Halloween watch along. It seems like there were so many similar toy lines over the next few years that got that same kind of treatment with the 13 episode cartoon series that were really cool for what they were at the time.
Yeah, certainly.
Decompose traps Liquidator, but the mighty Granites, friends of the Earth core, attack the evil Inhumanoid, forcing him back into the Earth.
Inhumanoids! The evil that lies within.
Your friends can't help you now, but the leader of the Granites can. Grandma, your evil ways are over. Escape on the Terror Scout. Thanks, Grandma.
Granarch, other figures and vehicles sold separately from Hasbro.
All right, while we're talking TV shows, I'm going to bring up Matlock.
I watched a buttload of Matlock growing up. because it would come on in the afternoons on Fox when I would stay at my grandmother's over the summer.
Yep.
I barely remember anything about it.
So I also watched it in the afternoons on Fox when I was on like summer vacation, and I was just old enough to like stay by myself. And yeah, that's when I really started watching and enjoying the show. So it ran from 86 to 95, started on NBC, then moved to ABC after season 6.
Meet the man who's going to defend NBC Tuesday nights.
Next to injustice, I hate losing.
Matlock's a winner this fall.
It's about Ben Matlock. He's this high-dollar Atlanta lawyer who works with his 2 daughters during the show. At first, it's Charlene in the early seasons, and then she gets replaced by another actress who is named Leanne later on, who's supposed to be his older daughter, who was never mentioned early on, but somehow, comes in when the other actress leaves the show. You know how that stuff works.
There's a early part of the series, later part of the series. How many seasons does this run for?
86 to 95. So I think 9 seasons, maybe 10.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it ran that long.
Yeah, it ran for quite a while, almost a full decade.
See, the only thing I remember from the show, I mean, I remember the basics of the show, like lawyer and, hired to solve all these crime seen's drama. But the only other detail I remember was Barney from Andy Griffith was
Don Knotts, his neighbor.
Don Knotts was his neighbor.
Yeah.
So he would pop in from time to time for that little Andy Griffith reunion.
Yeah, so he was probably in maybe, I can't tell you all the seasons. I just seen various episodes, but he was in at least 5 or 6 episodes.
Yeah, like a handful.
Yeah. I think that was more later on in the show. Dick Van Dyke also, he didn't play a recurring character, but he played different characters over the years. Basically, anybody who was kind of up and coming in the TV scene in that era was on Matlock as either a lawyer or a criminal or victim. And the premise of the show is, like, if you're ever falsely accused of a crime, you want Ben Matlock representing you, because this guy has more acquittals than any trial lawyer on the planet. And the show would basically be crime happens, person gets accused, hires Matlock. Either they've got the money to pay his fee, or they're just a charity case that he's willing to take it on the chin for because he believes in them. And he has these different private investigators over the seasons that, find out what really happened. And then it leads to a fiery showdown in the courtroom where Andy Griffith just, wears the guy on the witness stand down who really did, the real criminal, and gets a confession on the stand and acquittal in the case. Doesn't always work that way. I remember one episode where, he finds out midway through the trial that his client is actually guilty, and he's trying to get an acquittal anyway by getting someone to falsely confess on the stand. And then when you know it, the client has a change of heart and admits to everyone that he's guilty. And one loss for Andy Griffith and Ben Matlock in that show, at least maybe the only loss.
This was the beginning of TV warping my perception of how reality works. In no world do cases work that fast.
No, yeah. Yes, yeah. In the case of 45 minutes, there's been a crime, an arrest, a confession, and an acquittal. Yeah,
yeah, because I love how they can just go to some lawyer's office first thing in the morning and be like, hey, can you represent me? Sure. And then by lunchtime, they're already in court with everything prepared, ready to go and defending the person. It's like, no, that's not how it works.
Yeah, I do love some of the outbursts he had in the series when things weren't going his way in the courtroom. Like, he got thrown in contempt a few times in the show, but I feel like he would get thrown into contempt just about every time he goes in and yells at somebody.
Then I have one last question for you. Who got to you? Who paid you to perjure yourself in court today?
Objection. Mr. Matlock is grossly argumentative.
Withdraw the question. I have no further use for this jackass.
It's a show that if I go back and watch now, I kind of get bored really quickly. I guess I don't have the attention span that I had when I was 12, but
for Matlock, yeah, okay.
For Matlock, I know they also rebooted the show with Kathy Bates playing Matlock.
Yeah, I saw the first episode of that.
Okay, you've seen more than I have.
Okay, do you know what that's about?
Not a clue.
Okay, so surprisingly, and this blew my mind, it's not her playing his daughter, is not her just being just the female version of Matlock, she legit walks on screen as a newbie lawyer, and the first thing she says is, "My name's Matlock, like the TV show."
Huh.
And that's the only relation.
So complete reimagining, and they're just relying on that name to
That's
sell the
it.
show.
That's
Okay.
that's totally it. Like she just walks on and just says, "Matlock was a TV show. I happen to share the same name, and I'm also a lawyer." And it ends there.
Okay, well that might be worth checking out then, because I couldn't get over how is Kathy Bates going to take on? I mean, I guess
Nope.
she's the angry old lady. He was the angry old man. No offense, not being ageist, but she's one of the
Or
older-
sexist.
Yeah, older actresses of the day now.
But yeah, like I said, I used to watch this back in the day. It was the Fox lineup for around here. It would have been early 90s, but I remember it was middle of the afternoon on Fox. It would be Matlock, In the Heat of the Night,
Heat of the Night, yep.
Hunter, and 66 Batman.
Yep. Usually 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And it was great if it was the next week on the same Bat channel. You'll see how they get out of this.
Well, I think I remember them playing both episodes in the same hour.
Yeah.
Of Batman.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. When it worked out that way,
Yeah.
It would be
The only time they went over, I remember, is when they did like the 3-parter with Joker teamed up with Penguin. That it would have to go into the next day, and then I don't know how they reconcile that.
I think after that it was the cartoon lineup. So it was a good block of TV. I was not that big of a fan of In the Heat of the Night. Liked the movie a lot, but not so much the show. But Matlock and Hunter were good, and then, like you said, 1966 Batman. That was a classic growing up. Next month, I want us to talk about the premiere of Batman the Animated Series, so we can have a lot of fun diving into that.
I would love to talk about that.
Tuesday, double trouble for Matlock when twin sisters frame their uncle.
I loved her while I kill her.
Can Matlock bust these deadly daughters?
Court isn't finished with you.
Then, when Crime Stories reporter is mugged, Torello's driven to the edge.
You better get a handle on yourself.
That Torello's a dangerous man.
A thug's nightmare. What is this? In Crime Story, Tuesday.
But yeah, talking about movies, so my next pick and my last pick for things to remember that's turning 40 this year from 1986. Cobra, starring Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, I vividly remember seeing this. I think I again saw it on TV at first, but not all of it, and had to go rent it because I was like, this is wild, and I have to see what the resolution of this is. The opening scene with his voiceover about there's a crime every 6 seconds and 25 women are raped and blah, 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 blah. I don't know the word for word, but I could still see that opening scene.
That's a pretty good impression, though. Like, blah, 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 blah.
In America, there's a burglary every 11 seconds. An armed robbery every 65 seconds. A violent crime every 25 seconds. A murder every 24 minutes. And 250 rapes a day.
Yeah, I mean, even the voiceover is pretty muddy. It's just like, did he even try?
I think he tried a little too hard with this one, to be honest. I mean, this is one where I didn't see it when I was a kid. I was always a Stallone fan, but I did not make it a mission to really watch my action hero movies until I was in college.
Okay.
When you and I met. So around that time, I did watch Cobra, and I was enamored by it, mainly because of the opening scene.
Yeah.
The opening scene is where most of the memorable stuff happens. After that, it's real forgettable.
Best part of the movie, the supermarket standoff with the...
Yeah, because it got Stallone busting into a hostage scene where someone's taking all these people in a convenience store.
Yep.
He's running around doing the most action movie tropes you can imagine. Like he's grabbing beer out of the cold case and just sipping it down while the guy's holding the hostages at the front, and he's like,
and then the guy shoots the beer and gives Stallone the opportunity to act. Yeah,
because his big line is, "Don't do it, man! I blow this place out." He goes, "Go ahead. I don't shop here."
Come on, man. I got a bomb here. I'll kill her. I'll blow this whole place up.
Go ahead. I don't shop here.
And then, of course, and then beyond that, you see him go home. And when he goes home, like somebody's all stepping up on him about parking his car in some place he didn't want him to. And he rips this guy's shirt and tells him to go to school or something. And that was just like, what the hell was any of that about? And then it doesn't stop there. Once he gets inside his house, you see him cut or eat pizza, cutting it up with scissors. And then he has like a gun cleaning kit and an egg carton in the fridge as well. It's like, what
is going on?
Well, yeah, I was like, whose idea was? Are they doing this so we remember this movie? Because that's the only thing I do remember. Because I always have to go back and remember, like, oh yeah, this is about him chasing down like
Serial
a cult and protecting Brigitte Nielsen. And the other big thing that stands out about this movie as well, the only other memorable thing I can take away from this movie, I think, is Coca-Cola.
Is it in the supermarket scene?
It's not just a supermarket scene; it's everywhere.
I think it's Pepsi because Pepsi,
Pepsi
had the standee in the scene. And
so it's Pepsi. Okay,
and I remember I watched the opening scene again
because there's that big Pepsi display with the fake pour.
And that's the thing. I was like, man, I'd love to have that thing. That thing looks really cool.
Yeah,
and then the Coors that he grabs that you were talking about is right behind that.
But if you remember, when he gets home, there's a big ass Pepsi billboard like right by his front door or his house or whatever, and it's like if Pepsi is this
product placed
blazing across this movie. It's like they pay top dollar to be in the next Stallone feature, and they must have lost their ass because, I mean, I think the movie, I mean, I don't think it did very well.
No, it was a box office bomb from what I read.
So it's kind of a cult movie now.
Yeah, cult movie. Good pun there.
But yeah, so the point of the movie is simply that there's this cult. It's called the New World Cult, and it despises modern society, and they think that the weak need to be killed, the strong need to inherit the earth and rule it. And the leader is called the Night Slasher, and is played by Brian Thompson. Yeah. And the only other movie I care about that Brian Thompson is in is he played the guy who ate bugs in Fright Night 2. So he was part of the monster gang in that movie.
Yeah, okay.
He's also the bad guy in Dr. Mordred from Full Moon Features. But so the whole point of the movie is he runs this cult. They're going on like a murder spree that the police are kind of sort of aware of. Brigitte Nielsen is a model who sees them commit some of these crimes. So now they got to go and take care of her and kill her. So Stallone, who's known as Lieutenant Marion Cobra Cabretti, he's an LA cop who's assigned to protect her.
Yep.
So the whole movie is basically this cat and mouse chasing game of the cult trying to catch them so they can kill her, and he's got to kill them first.
Yeah, other than the opening voiceover and opening standoff scene in the grocery store, the only other thing I really remember is his 1940s car that he drives around.
Yeah, it was a 1950 Mercury.
1950 Mercury.
And that was his personal car. And they had some duplicates of it made for stunts that were performed in the car. But yeah, this was one of those movies that I think he just was trying way too hard. And from what I read, this is during like his dick phase where he was so on top of the world and so big as a celebrity, like it just totally went to his head.
Yeah, he wouldn't let like the extras or day workers like even speak to him on the set. I guess had a big powwow with the cinematographer also, and the cinematographer was like, nah, man, the problem isn't my guys not wanting to work. It's you not wanting to show up and work. And
yeah. And he was also married to Brigitte Nielsen at the time, who played the love interest in the movie. Yeah. And if you watch any documentary that has anything to do with her or him, around this time, they talk about how he was like super possessive over her and was like super jealous or protective if anybody came around talking to her that was another guy or anything. And he was just all out of sorts about that kind of stuff. But just, without knowing anything about that, all that stuff that happened behind the scenes, simply as me watching the movie and just knowing the history of his performances in like the Rambo movies, the Rocky movies, I just thought this movie, he just tried way too hard. And what I mean by that is he just tried to play it like too much of a tough guy, too many of the tropes.
Yeah.
There just wasn't any heart in this to me. And what I mean by that is there's only one moment where I feel like he actually opens up as a person and has an actual personality in the movie, other than just a shoot 'em up guy with guns flying through the movie.
Is it when he says, "This is where the law stops and I start, sucker"?
No. No, the only scene I feel like he actually performs showing himself as a personality and a character was when he's talking to Brigitte about his real name, and that being Marion. that was the only like real moment I felt between them as characters that wasn't just like bogged down saturation of shoot 'em up action.
Yeah, I don't even remember that scene. I guess that's
Yeah, I mean, it's a little moment. It's a little moment, but it was the only moment that really tapped into that Rambo, Rocky kind of magic that he had in those movies where, yeah, it's some action, kind of physicality stuff going on, but he's bringing some character into it. And that was the only moment I saw it in this movie is when he's talking about what his real name is with Brigitte.
Gotcha.
But even the action sequences, I mean, I don't remember anything. I like that he fought the Night Slasher. Okay, they had like an axe fight. I like how they had that kind of
dual axes.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of cool, but I don't remember anything real specific about it after all this time. It was just, yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and it's just really, if you want to watch it, the only interesting parts is just up through him saving the convenience store in the beginning, and then he goes home and does that weird stuff with the cutting up the pizza with scissors and the gun cleaning kit in the egg carton. Everything else after that is like,
yeah, the finale, like you said, with the fights are kind of fun, and they did a good job shooting the New World cult where they made them look really menacing in the shots,
where they're all clanging the axes in the warehouse and chanting. Yeah,
yep. But other than that, not a lot of that's memorable for me, other than that supermarket scene with all the Pepsi product placement and the slice cola. And I'm like, I just kind of want to reach in there and grab one of those and drink one again.
Now, did you know they came out with a Cobra action figure doll kind of toy recently?
No, was not aware of this.
Yeah, I don't know where you can get it, but there's video on YouTube of Stallone actually like unboxing this thing and taking a look at it to give his approval, and he was promoting it. But it's like the whole Cobra like figure, like about this big, down to all the details that he had, down to the gun and the belts and everything.
The gun was memorable too, with the Cobras on it. If they ever came out with like a toy gun or something with the Cobra grips like he had in the movie, I might have to pick that up just for the novelty of it, just because I remember all the close-ups of him putting the gun away and pulling the gun out, and you see the Cobra on the grips. Yeah. That was really cool. I thought it was a missed opportunity for him to drive that car and not like a Mustang Cobra.
I mean, I see where you're coming from, but at the same time, how many times do you see a 1950 Mercury on camera, which I can't think of any other movie I've ever seen that car.
Yeah.
His name's Cabretti. He's a cop, a specialist. He does the job nobody wants. The system says that even killers have rights. Cabretti's got his own system.
I ain't no psycho, man. I'm a hunter.
You're a disease, and I'm the cure.
Die!
Well, I'm going to keep us at the movies for my last pick of the night, too. I'm going to talk about Manhunter. It's the 1986 film adaptation of Thomas Harris's book, Red Dragon. Michael Mann wrote and directed. Michael Mann, showrunner of Miami Vice and Crime Story in the 80s. Crime Story followed Matlock in I think the first few years of its existence. And the director of Heat, Ali, Collateral, a lot of power there. I think this was his second feature directing gig. It was the first time we get to see Hannibal Lecter on screen, but it's not Anthony Hopkins yet. It is Brian Cox playing Dr. Lecter there.
Somewhere between dreams and reality lies the key to a killer's identity.
You want to know how he's choosing them, don't you?
Hunting in that dangerous place is FBI agent Will Graham.
What is it you think you're becoming?
The closer he gets to the killer, the more deadly the dreams become. Manhunter.
Starts Friday at a theater near you. Check local listings.
It does a great job with the montage 80s. I don't really know how to describe it, but it is so distinctly 80s in parts of that movie.
A lot of it had to do with the music, I seem to remember.
The music and just the pacing of the editing. And then one thing that I wanted to bring up that always stands out anytime I watch it is David Meeks, who is was the owner of Hollywild Animal Park near us, makes an appearance in this movie. in the scene where the Tooth Fairy, played by Tom Noonan, fantastic. I think he does a lot better job than Ralph Fiennes or another actor's name who I'm going to butcher in this, who plays it later on in Red Dragon in the 2000s.
Yeah.
Is in the office with the sedated tiger and the blind woman, and
right.
David Meeks is the animal handler handling the tiger, but he's in that scene. And so David, like I said, runs Hollywild. That's this zoo that operated for a few decades here in Spartanburg County. And so David got his start in Hollywood, I believe in the 70s, and he was involved in like 50-something movies as an animal trainer, wrangler, bit player.
Never thought about that. Is that why they call it Hollywild?
That is why they call it Hollywild, because
Never knew
the same
I
animals.
knew at one point they had like one of the cubs that were used as a reference for Lion King for the artist to draw or something, I think.
I didn't know about that. His bigger movies were kind of in the 80s. So Manhunter, Monkey Shines, George Romero film about the
first movie
monkey.
to show a paraplegic sex scene.
You're right. You're right. A lot of weird things in that movie. And then Prancer was probably his biggest one of all. The reindeer film with Sam Elliott from '89, and that also laid the groundwork for them to do their big Hollywild Light Safari every Christmas, where you could drive through the park and see all the Christmas lights, and then park and have reindeer and other things walk up to your car while you're driving through. Yeah, David Meeks in that movie. The last time I saw David, I got a chance to interview him several times when I was a newspaper and television. It's right before he retired. So I imagine I was on a flight to Atlanta, and you know, when you board a plane, everybody's got their carry-on bags and they've got all this stuff. And he just walks in wearing like tactical pants and like this tactical shirt and no bags at all, nothing. And he just like walks on the plane like he's not a big menacing guy or anything, but it was just so out of character for everybody else. And I happened to know who he was, and I don't think he knew who I was, but just gave him a little wave as he drove by or walked by to take his seat. And it was just such stood out in my mind just because everybody else is trying to get their carry-on bags on there, get everything situated. And he just walks on with nothing. Like, I wrangle tigers for a living. I don't need anything when I get on this plane. So, again, when I saw Manhunter was released in 1986, it sent me down that rabbit hole. I thought I'd share it with you.
You think that what you do will make you into something different. You're becoming. What is it you think you're becoming? The answer's in the way you use the mirrors. What do the mirrors make you dream you're becoming?
Let me ask you, so Anthony Hopkins or Brian Cox?
I'm still going to have to go with Anthony Hopkins, but I think Brian Cox did a pretty good job in this. The character wasn't quite there yet, but it's still close and still menacing. And I think Anthony Hopkins didn't get any better in the later films. I think, Hannibal Lecter was the scariest in Silence of the Lambs.
Okay.
How about you?
I probably would just have to go with Anthony just because that's who I imagine as the character at all times, simply because I saw Silence of the Lambs first.
Same.
But I thought Brian Cox did do a great job with a character who had never been portrayed before. Yeah. So it wasn't like he had anything to go off of or kind of distract him from coming up in the original character. I remember just how interesting it was to see him manipulate or maneuver certain things from inside his cell. Like the one trick I enjoyed seeing was how they gave him the rotary phone.
Yep.
Or if it wasn't a rotary phone, just a landline. They gave him a landline. And, they dialed the number for him that he was calling. But I like to see how he just used nothing more than a pencil to just get the phone to hang up so he could connect with the operator. Yeah. And the operator would connect him with whatever number he needed to dial that he couldn't hit the buttons for.
Yeah. Again, it's one of those distinctly 80s things that I don't think anybody even has one of those phones around where you can get an operator anymore. Can you dial 0 on a cell phone and get an operator?
Ooh, if only we had our cell phone right now, we'd try. I never thought about that. What? You can still call it 411.
Can you? Is that still a thing?
I think so.
I think they just use Google now.
You got me wanting to try all these things now once we end the podcast.
Little things you don't think about. But yeah, that was I enjoyed seeing that too. I think did they bring that back in Red Dragon? I kind of feel like they did, right? When they made Red Dragon.
It's been so long since I saw Manhunter more recently than I saw Red Dragon.
Same. I think I've only watched Red Dragon once, but Manhunter every couple of years I'll give it another watch just for that hit of 1980s Michael Mann.
Do you remember what the song was they played at the end in the final scene with the final showdown?
I can't tell you what the name of the song is, but I can hear it in my head right now.
Do you remember the lyrics?
No.
I just remember it was like very like just
1980s, yeah.
It was like all about that song for the finale, but I can't remember what the song was.
We'll play it when we ride out of this show here.
Yeah.
But things turning 40, I'm one of them. It was fun to kind of look back and revisit some of these things, and we'll have to see if 411 still exists. And the 411 on next month, like we said, is we're going to dive into the premiere of Batman the Animated Series. It was one of a few animated shows in the early 90s that got a primetime premiere.
Yeah.
So
I actually I do remember that. Although my experience with that is going to be a little bizarre to talk about because while I super enjoyed it and was a big fan of it, I wasn't allowed to watch it for the first little while because of us living in the Bible Belt. My household perceived it as a demonic influence that we had to avoid for a while.
Interesting. I'm looking forward to hearing all about that. And I think somewhere in my parents' house, I'm going to go look for it, that there is a tape of that original debut broadcast that we can kind of watch along, look at some of the commercials, see what was happening. If the commercials are there, it might have been one that my mom was active in stopping on the commercial breaks and not recording the commercials. If I can't find it, I'm sure there's something on YouTube that'll give us a little peek on what that is. But that's definitely something we're going to dive into next month, and look forward to chatting with you then. In the meantime, thank you guys for hitting the rewind button with it. 2026, and we're off to a
good start.
Great start.